because there's more to come. I looked at this text, I looked at this, theologians, I looked at this, and it says, in verse 3, it says, and not only so. He was getting excited as he was talking about this. And so I replaced not only so for there's more to come. And then I happened to look over at Peterson, and he was thinking like I was thinking. He said, it's more to come. You ought to know there's more to come beyond your circumstance right now. Now this is a prophetic moment. I got to help you. Look at it. Regardless of what stage you're in life, you stop giving up on yourself. You stop trying to die. You stop trying to throw in the towel. There's more to come. Now I want your neighbor to encourage you and tell him 3 times there's more to come. There's more. God did not make a mistake over your life. Let me say, God has not made a mistake over your life. He's not made a mistake of who he got. All that happened to you was supposed to happen. All that happened to you, God planned it to happen. Because it may not be for your testimony, but it may be for somebody else's testimony that I can bring her through that. That she can make it, he can make it, they can make it. Come on, understand this. God in his infinite wisdom is so wise that some of the stuff he's taken from us, he took away from us before it broke us. God looked in your future and said, they can't take that, so let me move this person out the way now before they inevitably crush them for life. And so you ought to be celebrating God all the things he took right now. Say, Lord, thank you for taking this. Thank you for taking that. Thank you for taking the stuff I thought I had to have. He said, I glory in tribulation. So you got to learn to give God glory when tribulation comes. You got to stop complaining about your situation and give God glory in it. Because there's something God's going to get you through. And there's a learning point in this experience. You got to start saying, God, whatever I need to get out of this, help me get through it. God, help me to learn from this. Help me to experience this. I'm going somewhere now. I feel the Holy Ghost. Says, and not only that, but we glory in tribulation, knowing that tribulation work patience. Watch out, watch out, watch out. 2A, everybody needs some work experience. When you go on the job and you go apply, and they say, you have your degree? Yes or no. How much work experience do you have? When you got work experience, it sometimes removes the prerequisite of your degree. I know some folk in here right now ain't got no degree, but you got work experience. And the people working next to you got degrees. It's called work experience. But I found out in the gospel, you got to have some work experience. You got to have some work experience through tribulation. You got to work through tribulation. You got to have some experience. So when God said, I got some experience in that. When you got divorced, I got some experience. That's my tribulation experience. When I almost lost my mind, that's my tribulation experience. When I almost just had to give up on life and commit suicide, that's my work experience. I'm talking to somebody here. When I was strung out on drugs, that's my work experience. When I learned that my children were just all jacked up, that's my work experience. When my marriage didn't happen the way I wanted to have, that's work experience. When my body started to fail me, that's work experience. You want to thank God you got some work experience. So when somebody else going to say, baby, I've been where you've been. And I know if God can bring me out, he'll bring you out. I got some experience in that. I know I got my patience because I went through some times. And when you're going through, you can't rush the process. But you got to wait on God. You want to tell somebody, say, wait on God this morning for some work experience. Yeah. They said, watch this. But not only you got to have some experience in tribulation, you got to have some experience in patience. You need to know this. Say this with me. Because God didn't give it to me right now. Don't mean it's denied. It's just delayed. I've been at the airport a couple of times when the plane was delayed. is right